You're watching Newsroom on SABC News. Good morning. I'm Evan Jansen. We are broadcasting live from Johannesburg in South Africa. It's the first day of the new school year in South Africa, and today we'll have a look around the country at this special day for many families. The date for South Africa's general election is expected to be announced next month, and the world's first free pop-up clothing store took to the streets of Cape Town yesterday. But first, let's take a look at the news headlines. Schools across the country are ready to welcome pupils for the 2014 academic year today. Both inland and coastal schools reopen on the same day this year. A number of government officials will visit schools across the country to assess their state of readiness. Talks to free South African school teacher Pierre Corky, being held hostage in Yemen, have stalled because of ransom money. Corky and his wife, Yolandi, who was released last week, were taken hostage in May. Bafana are 3 points away from qualifying for the next round. Bafana take on Mali in a crucial clash in the African Nations Championship Group A match this afternoon. It's all systems go for thousands of learners in South Africa as schools open today nationally to mark the start of the 2014 school year. For the first time in the country's history, coastal as well as inland schools are opening at the same time. Close to 950,000 learners have already made their way to various schools to kick off their 2014 school year. Well, we now cross to SABC reporter Mariska Botha, who's standing by at the newly built Fairview Primary School on the Cape Flats. Good morning, Mariska. Can you just set the scene for us first on the start of the school year down in the Western Cape?
Good morning to you, Eben. Yes, we are standing at Fairview Primary School. It's a brand new school building. It's one of 3 replacement schools in the Western Cape. It's not a new school, it's just a new school building. They replaced the old dilapidated buildings that the children were going to school in, and it's simply beautiful. We've heard that teachers have spent their December holidays making sure that the school is ready and prepared for when the children come to school. And as you said, 950,000 pupils across the province are in school this morning, and over 100,000 of those are first graders. Here at Fairview, we have 106 first graders that made their way to school this morning, and there was a lot of excitement, especially from the children, but we also saw a lot of tears. But everything is ready and prepared here, and we're quickly going to speak now to the principal of Fairview Primary School, Mr. Aubrey de Wet, to tell us a little bit more about his beautiful new school. Mr. de Wet, good morning to you. You must be very proud, and it must be very exciting for you to start the new school year in a new school.
Excited, wonderful excitement. It's just wonderful to see all the children running into the school, being back at school, being back at a place where they most probably would love to be all the time. I had many calls, and when is school starting, and why is it still holiday? The kids are here, they're in classes already, they're learning already. Learning and teaching had started already this morning when they walked into the school.
And you have a very dedicated staff who sacrificed their December holiday to make sure that it's ready.
Yes, we had to. The junior phase, 12 classes were given to us only at the beginning of December, and the kids had gone already, so we had to move from the temporary classes into the new school, had to build in the cupboards into the new classrooms and see that the rooms are ready for, well, we were here till the 20th of December and back just after January, just 1st of January, just to see that everything is ready for the first day. But it has been exciting. I mean, everybody just worked as a team. Wonderful teachers. Teachers stayed till late. Sometimes we bought supper so that we could have everything ready for today.
And then what are the kind of challenges that you face living and working in an area like Rassie Park?
Look, it is a wonderful area. I'm most probably one of the blessed schools where parents and neighbours are so supportive. The neighbours have been supportive throughout the building. Construction work The parents are very supportive. I have a wonderful group of parents that support the school at all times. Blessed in a very special way. Look, the school hasn't been broken into since 1995, since I can remember, haven't been vandalized. We're one of the schools that was probably blessed in that way. However, we do have 24-hour security on our premises. We're paid by the school and the school governing body, of course.
So there you heard from Mr. Aubrey de Wet, the principal of Fairview Primary School, and I can truly attest that there is a wonderful positive vibe, if I may call it that is happening at the school. The children are in class. Principal himself chased the parents away, couldn't let go of their young ones. But schooling is going on. Everything is ready, and even the MEC of Education in the Western Cape, Mr. Donald Grant, paid a visit here this morning, and everything is up and running across the province, where 950,000 pupils are back at school this morning. And with that, back to you in the studio, Eben.
Mariska, before you go, I just wanted to ask you a little bit, tell us a little bit your observations about this new school building and also the start, you know, the emotions that were involved this morning. It must have been very difficult for some of the parents.
Oh, yes, indeed. You hit the nail on the head there. I think it was harder for the parents than it were for most of the children here. But we did see a few tears from some of especially the first graders. It's hard to let go of mommy and daddy. But, yeah, the parents, I think it's harder for the parents than the children. But a lot of excited young people. We spoke to a few of them, and most of them said to us they're excited to be here to learn, to read and write, to build puzzles, to color, to play. So there was a lot of emotion, but most of it was excitement and happiness, but yes, we did see a few tears.
Now, Mariska, the Western Cape took a little bit of a drop in the matric pass rate that came out last week. Just tell us, is the province galvanizing itself for improved performance this year?
Actually, they just dropped positions in the ranking in the country, but they actually improved their pass rate by 2.3%. So yes, they're looking to build on what they have already, focusing especially on quality education. They want to see more matrics pass with permission to go study with bachelor degree studies. That's what they're focusing on. They want most young people by 2019, 70%, they want them to pass with the opportunity to go to university and to study. And also what the MEC of Education, Mr. Donald Grant, told us this morning is that they want to focus on the retention rate. And what that means is they want to ensure that the first graders that we saw here today, that start school today, that they finish with matric in 2026. So they want to ensure that young people stay in school. Their retention rate was at 53% last year, and they're looking to improve on that and ensure that more people stay in school and finish school.
Mariska, thank you very much for that contribution this morning. That's Mariska Botha, who's at the Fairview Primary School in the Cape Flats, of course. Just to recap, schools across the country are ready to welcome pupils for the 2014 academic year. It starts today. Both inland and coastal schools reopen on the same day for the first time.
The Christmas holidays have come to an end for thousands of pupils, and everyone's getting ready. In the Eastern Cape, there were long queues for late registrations and collecting of last year's results. And sentenced offenders, probationers and parolees were lending a helping hand.
To contribute in this project, we feel happy because we know we wronged the community before, but now we are the changed person. We're not the people they know before, because we are human beings.
I'm very much happy to come and contribute and sacrifice our time to come and help our young brothers and sisters to get them more information about the education, because the education is the source of life.
As other schools are optimistic of a bright start, Gauteng education officials are scrambling to fix over 53 schools damaged by hailstorms. The schools are located in Mamelodi, Soshanguve and Garankuwa. At Malamulele's Julius High in Limpopo, classrooms and stock shortages persist. Adding to the school's problems, a fire has gutted 2 structures. Frustrated educators are waiting for the education department to fulfill its promises. Despite all the hiccups, many are hopeful of a successful academic year.
Yeah, schooling is well underway all around the country, of course, where schools are opening. But let's go down to the Eastern Cape, where Iviwe Porti is standing by in Motherwell to give us an update as to what's happening in that province. Iviwe, good morning. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Iviwe, just set the scene for us where you are and tell us a little bit, before you do your interview, just tell us a little bit about the start of schooling today in the Eastern Cape.
Okay, well, we are at Port Elizabeth at Collegiate Girls High, and yes, the SAMREST annual conference has been held in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro at the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro University. We went there yesterday to speak to some of the academics that conduct the researches that have to do with mathematics, science and technology, especially when we speak about children, mathematics and science. And specifically, we spoke to Professor Geng, who's the Vice Chancellor at UNISA in the Department of Research and Innovation. And she spoke about her paper that the link between language and any subject, but specifically mathematics and science, in terms of your method of teaching and your method of language, how students have been taught and how this affects their not end result only at matric, but also concentrating at junior level, where it's very important to mentor these children. And she said mentoring is very important from matric into university and into the working industry, and that concentration and is very important at the junior school level. But here today we are at Collegiate Girls High School, where the whole group that wrote their final year examinations at the end of 2013, a group of 139 girls, managed to obtain to qualify for a bachelor's degree at university level. I speak to the principal, Mrs. Bagshaw. Good morning, Mrs. Bagshaw.
Good morning, Ms. V.
The school's success at the end of 2013, the results, 139 all qualifying for a bachelor's degree. How does this happen, and is it the first?
It is definitely a first at Collegiate, and it's a first for me. I've been at other schools and I've never seen this happen at a government school. We are absolutely thrilled. We are very proud of the girls, but it doesn't just happen in the matric year. It starts in grade 8. The work ethic has to be established right from the start and be taken through to the end of matric. And every girl has to work hard. The teachers have to be well qualified and have to push the girls to give their best.
So, if I understand, you said it starts at grade 8. What are some of the preparations to prepare from grade 8 straight through to matric?
One of the values that we've identified that the grade 8s have to concentrate on is good work ethic. So what we do is we get them to come to the school before school starts so that they can know which classroom they're going to go to. They meet their teachers. The parents get to meet their teachers. We have a parents' afternoon so that when day 1 starts, they start with lessons. So today we have maybe 2 hours of orientation, and then we start with lessons immediately. They get textbooks on the very first day, all their stationery is ready, and they get homework from today.
Thank you. And that was Mrs. Bagshaw from Collegiate Girls High School. And the SAMREST annual conference still continues and ends on Thursday. When we spoke to Geng, she also said that the increase in not only the end-of-year matric results should be celebrated, but also that of mathematics and science, the 6.1% increase. And she said that a lot of work still needs to be done in the whole of South Africa in terms of moving forward and mentoring and motivating students to study further and want to work for their country. Thank you, and back to you in studio.
Thanks, Iviwe. That's Iviwe Porti down in the Eastern Cape, giving us a little insight. Of course, discussions on how to improve maths and science results are already underway, and that international conference on the topic is being held in Port Elizabeth at the moment.
More than 200 delegates from around the world are attending the conference themed New Adventures to Transform Mathematics, Science and Technology Education in Africa.
This year we're really focusing on new creative avenues for transforming math, science and technology education in the country. We need to start focusing on the language challenges, the language issues, language also as a resource. We need to look at that as a creative avenue, as well as starting to say we need to focus on the foundation phase.
The link between language and mathematics has highlighted as one of the main challenges, with the academics agreeing that the maths and science pass rate isn't high enough to deal with the skills shortage in South South Africa.
The improvement in the number of passes is something else. We also have to see how many of those students who passed have obtained marks that allow them to study science, engineering and technology at university.
There are also plans to focus on development at intermediate foundation phase, where the core problems can be fixed. Academics say the students who have excelled in these subjects must be mentored and mentored beyond matric and university level in possible career fields. Ifuwe Poti, SABC News, Port Elizabeth.
Well, time for us to take a look at what you're saying and thinking on social media. I'm sure lots of people are thinking about school. Renee Slippers says, after almost 8 weeks, I must say, back to school is bliss for any parent. That's a different take on it, certainly. Kayed Abraham said, good luck to all the school kids on the first day back to school. Have fun, study hard and enjoy success. Shanaz says, good luck to all the kids starting school today. Don't forget your lunchbox and juice bottles. And the TK Goldfish says, all the best to the parents and kids going back or starting their educational journey. Traffic jams are everywhere, but let's be patient as our future leaders take their first step of their academic careers, said Chad. And Warren says, can you hear that low sighing groan? That's the sound of parents waking up knowing they have to do the school run again today. And Dave says, back to school, good luck to first grade and all students for 2014. Make it count, he says. That's right, keep your comments coming, of course, at SABC Newsroom. That's where you can connect with us on our Twitter page. Of course, sabc.co.za/news is where you get all the news updates. There we have it on the screen right now. After the break, we look at the election and the future of South Africa's rail network. You're watching Newsroom on SABC News.
Mercedes-Benz is all what you can expect from a lifestyle brand itself. We are about premium and luxury, we're about fascination, perfection, at the same time responsibility to our communities.
You know, my father was a musician and he loved music, he loved especially choral music.
Now as a person of color, you can't hit on her like, hello nice.
Man, they were a great audience. No, I had so much fun performing for them.
Baby, I love.
That's Kaleidoscope, Sundays, 5:30 p.m. on SABC News.
How does then media balance those two, responsible reporting and also keeping it factual?
If you're a journalist, and especially a journalist writing a story for a front page, you have to report the facts. The fact is she came to like a fashionista to court.
Once again, media be given credit for carrying this story since its inception.
The media has been very brilliant, and I think they walked the extra mile.
Where is the media in giving us the both sides of the story?
One of the issues with e-tolls is that it really has been a hard news story. And so I can understand why social media has been so effective, because breaking news is digital. And so we're going to get breaking news on that platform and then move into the other platforms of media coverage.
That's Media Monitor, Sundays at 9 a.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're still with Newsroom on SABC News. President Jacob Zuma is expected to announce the election date when he officially opens Parliament next month. Already various political parties have put their campaign machinery in motion to woo the country's voters. The second round of voters' registration is scheduled for the beginning of next month. South Africans living abroad will be able to register for the national elections for the very first time. This follows an amendment to the Electoral Act late last year. People outside the country could either register in South Africa or at one of the country's embassies. Now, in studio today to talk about this watershed moment is the Chief Electoral Officer at the Independent Electoral Commission, Mr. Mosoto Moepya. Good morning, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, Evan, and good morning to our viewers.
Let's just go back to last year and the amendments to the Electoral Act. Just tell us about the amendments and then why it was done.
Technically, the amendments have come about as a result of a number of developments. There have been 2 constitutional court cases by South African citizens who were at the time of elections not in the country and therefore requesting that they be registered and given the opportunity to vote outside of the Republic. We have, as a result of that and a number of consultations, made those proposals to Parliament, and Parliament has approved that into the law that we now currently have. Essentially, the law will allow South African citizens who have registered in South Africa but who on election day find themselves outside of the Republic to apply for a special vote wherever they might be. But most importantly, for the first time, South African citizens who had never registered in the country will be able to register in 108 countries where South Africa has missions, and there are about 124 places in this 108 countries. Persons there will take their green barcoded identity document or smart card ID or temporary identification certificate, as well as a valid South African passport, and register at the mission.
Let's just go back to the numbers quickly. How many South Africans voted in the last election abroad, and what are your expectations this time around? Will there be an increase?
About 9,000 South African citizens voted the last time, slightly over 9,000. But you will recall then at that time there were no registration opportunities abroad except for persons who were working in government service at the time. This provision is open and makes it possible for everyone that has South African citizenship or is a South African citizen and has the requisite documents to apply for registration. It is important to point out that if you have previously registered here, you don't have to register abroad. But if you have never registered, you do. And for that reason, it is very difficult to say, you're expecting 10, 20, 300, 4,000, 10, The opportunity has been created, and we're inviting all South African citizens across these countries where we have representation to use that opportunity.
So it's not only for people who are living overseas. For instance, if I'm traveling overseas for business or for my work, I'd be able to then go to any of those missions if I'm registered and be able to vote.
Yes. Registration is slightly different in that registration opportunities created are essentially for those South African citizens who are saying, for the next 5, 6 years or so, I'll be studying in a country, let's call it in the UK, and therefore I am almost certain I'll be there on election day. But persons that are registered in South Africa who on election day are traveling outside of the Republic will need to make an application or notify, in fact, the Chief Electoral Officer that they will not be in the Republic on election day and they'd like to vote in the UK at the mission in London.
There's always some special cases. I wanted to ask you about people who are turning 18 after the close of registration. What sort of process do they go through?
It is important to indicate that when you register with us at the age of 16 or 17, which you can apply for registration, on your 18th birthday, we automatically enroll you on the, place you on the segment of the voters roll that is an active segment for voting. We will do so with persons that have registered for election, for purposes of election day. But unfortunately, in instances where your birthday comes after election, you would not have attained the age of 18 and you would therefore not be in the position to vote.
Tell us about the registration, the second round. I want to bring it back to South Africa now. The second round this registration process that's going to follow next month?
We have created an opportunity for South African citizens inside the Republic, as we have done for South African citizens outside of the Republic. We have the final voter registration weekend on the 8th, 9th and the 10th of February, when many people who, let's take for example, matriculants who did not have the opportunity to register and are on this occasion away from home, studying at university elsewhere, we've created that opportunity for them to go and enroll at the place where they will now ordinarily be resident in the course of this year. That opportunity is the final registration opportunity. And we are calling on all of those South African citizens who have not registered yet to take that opportunity. We know there are quite a number of them out there, and we have received their inquiries. We have created this opportunity to ensure that they, in fact, also have the opportunity to participate in the 2014 national and provincial elections. These are historic elections indeed.
What are your targets for that voter registration weekend?
We have been on record to say that we are targeting 2 million South African citizens for registration leading to the 2014 national and provincial elections. We have attained 1.1 new registrations previously. We are looking, at another million that we probably will get. It's a tough call, but we are boldly making that call.
Thank you very much for joining us today, sir. That is the Chief Electoral Officer of the IEC in South Africa, Mr. Mosoto Mwepa, who joined us here this morning. One of our top stories still ongoing. Talks to Free South African school teacher Pierre Korkie, being held hostage in Yemen, have stalled because of ransom money. Founder of the Gift of the Givers Foundation, Imtiaz Suleiman, says face-to-face talks will resume today. The South African teacher and his wife, Yolandi, were taken hostage last May. Yolandi was released last week.
Givers fears for Pierre Korkie's life. It says the rebels are relentless and want ransom money to secure his release. The negotiations have intensified.
What almost considered pulling Anas off from face-to-face negotiations, because it was looking ominous at some times during the discussions. He was feeding me information as he was speaking to them, and then I told him to send me a complete breakdown of the body language, the words they use, how they create, how they were talking. And at one stage he kept on saying, they're very nervous, they're very nervous.
Meanwhile, a family friend and Bloemfontein businessman has launched a fundraising campaign to assist with a ransom.
We want to encourage every South African citizen just to send an SMS so that we can release Pierre as quickly as possible in Yemen and get him back in South Africa in normal circumstances.
To 42402 will automatically donate 30 Rand to the fund.
Rail transport around the world is considered the backbone of any economy, as well as one of the most popular means of transporting through its ability to carry much larger numbers of commuters. Now, the Passenger Rail Agency of South Africa has been hard at work to make sure it delivers and keeps up with demand through the planned purchase of new trains that are expected to arrive from next year. It is this ability to carry large passenger numbers that has seen PRASA partner with the CAF LOC to ensure that they provide free trains for match ticket holders. Between 9 and 11 trains have been set aside to transport soccer fans to the matches of the African Nations Championship in Cape Town. Now, in studio with us to tell us more is Nana Zenani, the spokesperson from PRASA Rail. Is that right?
That is correct. Good morning, Eben, and good morning to your viewers.
Thank you very much, Nana. Just tell us the reaction since last week and how things have gone at the tournament thus far.
I think if we reference it to what we've done before with the World Cup, you do get a slow start as people try to understand how the system works, how best it will function for them. But I am very, very confident that we're going to see an increase in numbers as the games. In fact, today, I'm sure we'll be looking at an increased number of people coming through.
I'm excited to talk to you a little bit wider about the future of rail in South Africa. Right. And tell us specifically the future of Metro Rail. How do we see this expansion in the months and years to come?
I think we've been very honest as PRASA Rail to be exact, in terms of the fact that our system is old. Our trains have a very high probability of breakdowns, but through our parent company, PRASA head office or corporate, we've been able to procure trains. And in fact, we're seeing the first batch arriving in the coming 2015, in the next year onwards, over the next 20 years. However, that will be a gradual process. So what we've done in the meantime is to make sure that we introduce some operational efficiencies, basically to make sure that what we're working with now ramps up and correlates with the new trains as they arrive.
Tell us a little bit about these new trains. Sorry, where they're coming from and what sort of quality are we looking at?
Well, I can assure our viewers that we are looking at a world-class and well-improved service. We are manufacturing the trains in South Africa. However, if I just bring you back to what we are currently doing, because we cannot talk about the future when people are experiencing the service now. We've introduced in areas such as Vereniging, where we've got a very high, large volume of people, what we call an express train, where instead of stopping at each and every train and experiencing, and I'm sure some of your visuals will show, pushing and overcrowding, where we express the trains and we make sure that we move the numbers. We're upgrading our platforms, we are fixing our overhead lines to make sure that we push the system in terms of safety, in terms of train reliability. We're also making sure that we fix the current fleet that we've got, so that at least it lasts up until the 20-year cycle that we're looking at.
I wanted to talk to you about derailments, because there were some of those in the last year or so. Yes. How does that affect business, and also take us through the process of how you deal with that sort of thing?
In fact, just to contextualize it, one of the major things that we experience is vandalism, unfortunately, on the rail lines, where a lot of our services are cut. A lot of the steel that is holding the rail is actually vandalized and stolen. What we are experiencing in terms of losses is insurmountable, especially because our service is already on its last legs. What we're doing currently is obviously investigating and making sure that those lessons that we receive from those investigations we then implement. However, we can't police an open line that is as vast as our network, and we rely on communities to actually speak about these things and to come forward and to report what they see in terms of vandalism to the authorities.
Now, the network is vast enough as it is. How do you see the expansion in the country's urban areas over the next few years?
That is a very critical question, because government is introducing what you call a very clear and precise spatial development that actually looks at integrated transportation. You cannot have that then with the current layout. And I'll use Cape Town as an example, where the station has a single track going in and out. It means, therefore, that you cannot schedule 2 or 3 trains at a time. A, because the rail network and the distance where people live, let's say Franschhoek, is so far. But secondly, because our system is not able to then look after 2 or 3 trains at a time, unlike other forms of sophisticated train systems that we see. So those are some of the things that PRASA corporate, as well as rail, are working with government, obviously through the Department of Transport, to make sure that we're part of that change nationally.
Some of the other challenges that you're facing, and I know there are quite a few, tell us about the main challenges that you see in the now, and then how you guys are going to deal with that going forward.
One of the most important things that we've emphasized is that we are aware that our service is not where it should be at the moment. But what impacts on the negative provision of that service is when you get constant vandalism of lines, the theft of copper cables, the theft of any sort of metallic object, and the cutting of lines in general. We experience that a lot in the Western Cape and Gauteng areas. Those are the challenges that, if those were reduced, whatever measures we introduce to improve the service would actually be even more impactful, rather than us on a daily basis replacing what has already been cut 2 or 3 times in a month.
Finally, where do you want to be in 10 years' time from now?
Look, we are running currently 2,400 trains per day, transporting 2.6 million people per day. We want to increase that service. We want to be a reliable service that is safe for the public, but also integrates with the rest of our public transport system, but as the backbone. That is where PRASA Rail would like to be in the future.
Well, South Africa needs a very good rail system if we are going to grow as a nation at the rate that we need to. Thank you for joining us today, Nana Zenani, who is the spokesperson for PRASA Rail here in South Africa. Thank you once again.
Thank you very much.
Well, time for us to take another look at what you're thinking and saying on social media. Don't forget, you can send us your views to @SABC Newsroom on our Twitter page. Kim V says, and all the mums wipe the tears from their eyes and breathe a collective sigh of relief. Of course, we all know what it's like first day of school. Everyone's been doing the school run again. Swata says, my little bro is also doing grade 3 this year. Back to school, off to grade 3 we go. That's a constant theme in every household all around the country. Reliable M says, another group of future decision makers in SA, first day at school. Good luck, my leaders. That is very big of you. Rafaelware says, seems like the new parents are more nervous than the new kids. I can vouch for that, being one of those. Definitely much more nervous than the children. They think it's fun. Traffic equals nightmare, says Dazza, hashtag back to school. Yes, that's one of the things you're going to have to deal with. Lee says, kids looking awesome in their uniforms, hashtag back to school. And Nkululeko Sitole says, good morning, back to school for the kids and back to work for the adults. That's right, that is this life that we live. Well, those are just some of your comments and thoughts coming in. Don't forget, you can keep it coming at SABC Newsroom and our website, sabc.co.za/news. That's where you get all the updates of all the relevant stories that's happening around the world right now. Meanwhile, the world's first rent-free, premises-free, free pop-up clothing store for the poor took to the streets of Cape Town yesterday. We'll have all of those details after a short break. You're watching Newsroom on SABC News.
Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Sphumelele Zondi.
Currently, we've got 3 apps that we've developed: the Q Marshall app, a commuter app, and a taxi association app.
The Chinese e-commerce company Alibaba Group Holding has decided to pursue an IPO in New York. Safaricom wants to introduce M-Pesa to Kenya's popular matatu industry. This will enable commuters to pay taxi fares using mobile money.
That's Network, Sundays, 7:30 p.m. on SABC News.
How does then media balance those two, responsible reporting and also keeping it factual?
If you're a journalist, and especially a journalist writing a story for a front page, you have to report the facts. The fact is she came to like a fashionista to court.
Once again, media be given credit for carrying the story since its inception.
The media has been very brilliant, and I think they walked the extra mile.
Where is the media in giving us the both sides of the story?
One of the issues with e-tolls is that it really has been a hard news story. And so I can understand why social media has been so effective, because breaking news is digital. And so we're going to get breaking news on that platform and then move into the other platforms of media coverage.
That's Media Monitor, Sundays at 9 a.m. on SABC News.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsroom on SABC News. Time for us now to take a look at the stories making news headlines. Schools across the country are ready to welcome pupils for the 2014 academic year today. Both inland and coastal schools reopen on the same day for the first time. A number of government officials will visit schools across the country to assess their state of readiness. Talks to free South African schoolteacher Pierre Corky being held hostage in the Yemen have stalled because of ransom money. Corky and his wife Yolandi, released last week, were taken hostage last May. And Bafana Bafana are 3 points away from qualifying for the next round. They take on Mali in a crucial clash in the African Nations Championship Group A match this afternoon. Now, the world's first rent-free, premises-free, free pop-up clothing store for the poor, found entirely on the street and curated by you, took to the streets of Cape Town yesterday, setting up outside the Salesian Institute on Somerset Road, De Waterkant. The street store is a simple, quick and interactive way to get rid of all those old clothes and shoes that we all have piling up in our closets and donating it to someone who needs it more. Well, we talk to the brains behind the project now, copywriter Kaylee Leviton and art director and designer Maximilian Pazak. Good morning to you guys, and thank you for joining us in Cape Town.
Thank you for having us. Hi.
Kaylee, just tell us a little bit about the project and how things went yesterday.
So the street store was a concept we came up with because Max and I work in the area on Somerset Road at an ad agency called MNC Saatchi Abel. And every day we see homeless people walk up and down the streets. And we wanted to do something, but it's quite difficult because on the high end of the donator, often you're told not to donate because you don't know what the people are going to do with what you give them, or you don't know where to take what you have, or even you're a little bit anxious of where you have to take it. But then on the other hand, we have the people who are receiving the stuff, and it's quite a degrading process of just being given things that you haven't necessarily chosen or want. So we realized we needed a middle ground. And obviously it was the street. So we set up the street store. As you mentioned, it's a pop-up store for the poor, where people can easily donate clothes by hanging them through the posters, and then the homeless can literally help themselves.
I wanted to ask Max about the concept itself and Max, how did you guys come up with this? Was it a brainwave?
Sort of, yeah. What we wanted to do was kind of find and use our skills in a way where we could promote one of the institutions that help people, homeless people. So what we did was, it kind of was a brainwave, and it was a post idea that turned into a pop-up store idea, and it just went from there. So,
Max, tell us about the turnout yesterday and how the first bits sort of went. Were you happy?
Very, very, very happy. The turnout was like overwhelmingly surprising. From the community was great. Some people just brought one item. Others brought big bags, like 6 black bags full. Some people even, there was a lady who just stopped on the side of the road, asked what was going on, and we told her. And she was like, I must have something in my boots to give you guys. And she went and she hung it up, and so it was great. And from the homeless side, that was actually quite surprising. I don't think any of us realized how much homelessness there was on the street, and it was actually great to help them all. So,
Kaylee, just to talk to you, just tell us, where does the money, sort of sponsorship and support for a project like this, where does it come from?
So what happened in this instance was that we took the idea to the owners of our agency, MNC Saatchi Abel, and they completely supported us throughout. They backed us incredibly. And they also helped us get in touch with different suppliers who were able to give us like the printing done for free and the boards done for free. If anyone wants to see, I'm going to actually write a little post on thestreetstore.org. There's going to be a little post of everyone who's been so important in making sure that it ran smoothly.
Max, can you just outline the sort of longer-term goals of this project for us?
Right now, yesterday was our first one, and to see how things went and to figure things out. And what we'd like to do is maybe run 1 or 2 more, Johannesburg, Durban, and then we want to post everything online. Almost like a step-by-step guide. And then what we'd like to do is take all the files, the artwork, put it online, and it's all open source, and then soon we'll have the availability for anyone to download it in South Africa, because we want the community to take hold of the project and to do one themselves and just take charge of it. And then hopefully it becomes a movement and anyone around the world can do it.
Guys, I just wanted to, we had a look on social media and you guys caused quite a stir on social media with this project. I want to read some of the tweets for you that's coming out, and then you give me some of your thoughts and reactions afterward. Lucia, if you can put some of that, there we go. Muhsin Mita says, this street store is a concept planned for Joburg as well? Question mark. Great idea, well done, he says. Jackie says, Kaylee, well done for yesterday. The street store, such a great initiative, perfectly executed, you rock. So it's all very positive. Nuran says, at the street store, will there be another street store soon? And that's the question that I think everybody wants to know from you. Lauren says, congratulations on a great initiative at the street store. Too awesome, at the big smile on it there as well. And the Glam Green Girl, it's the last one. The Glam Green Girl says, congrats to at the street store on such an amazing initiative. So wonderful how many people you helped today. Green, low green love. It's involved with lots of kisses. So you guys are really causing, of course, quite a stir on Twitter, doing a fantastic job. Just give us, Kylie, some of your reaction to this groundswell of positivity, really.
It's been overwhelming. It's been really, really incredible. We were obviously nervous. It was the first time we've done anything like this, and you never know what's going to happen when you're giving things away for free on the side of the road. But what happened was really beautiful, and people were so grateful and so happy. I mean, there were people that came through that had never been shopping before, and we gave them the opportunity to choose clothing, and I had to fight back the tears quite a lot yesterday. It was really stunning. And the community's been incredible. You people are amazing. Thank you. We literally couldn't have done it without you, because we didn't bring any clothes ourselves. We didn't organize in advance because we thought that would seem quite false. So it literally was just the community who really joined together to make it happen.
Brilliant. Max, just tell us your reaction. People were asking, when are you coming to Joburg? On Twitter, they want to know, are you going to go global soon? What are the plans? Where to next? That's what everybody wants to know.
Well, as I said earlier, we'd really like everyone else to take the initiative and use the posters and to do one themselves. But we'll probably start today in trying to organize one in Joburg. I think it will happen soon. Our bosses at MNC SABC are very keen to do it and support us in doing that. And then we definitely hope it is a global movement and people do it in all developing countries, I guess. And yeah, so that's it.
Kaylee, and finally, just tell us, the people that you help, poor people, their response and what was the sort of the outcomes there yesterday?
The outcomes were amazing. We're all kind of trying to figure out what time it happened exactly, but we brought 500 shopping bags, for like brown paper shopping bags for the people to take the clothes away in, and we ran out of the 500 somewhere between 12 and 3. So there were a lot of people, and they were so happy. It was amazing. It felt, I'm speechless. It was really, really cool. There was one guy who came through that he had quite a shabby suit on, and his shoes were falling apart. And he asked what was going on, and we told him, and he said he was on his way to a job interview, and could we help him? And we found someone had just brought in a beautiful pair of labeled leather shoes. And
brilliant.
He took his shoes off right there, put them in the bin, and put on his leather shoes and went off to his job interview.
That's a brilliant story. Thank you, guys. You do fantastic work, and we hope that your project goes from strength to strength.
Thank you so much.
Okay, that is the world's first rent-free, premises-free, free pop-up clothing store for the poor, found entirely in the street. It's happening in Cape Town, and that was Kaylee Leviton and Maximilian Pazak, who are behind the project in Cape Town. Let's just take a quick and final look at what you're saying and thinking on social media. Claire Jackson talks about Brits. How in the year 2014 South Africans are still protesting for water astounds me. It's a basic right. No excuses, she says. Miss Amos says, wait, in Motudlung, they're protesting because of a lack of water, yet the police use water cannons to disperse them. Like, really? Oh, that's a little bit ironic, isn't it? AM live on SAFM, of course. It's not clear whether schooling will resume in Motutlung and surrounding townships in Brits in the northwest this morning. That's a little bit public service there from one of our sister platforms. Christina says those shaking their heads at the violence in Brits try living without clean water for a day. This is one change people cannot wait for. And promising residents of Motutlung water by the weekend is not good enough. This should not be happening in our lifetime, says Lebo Masike. And Joe says, so basically 2 people were killed and a couple more injured in Motutlung so that a tenderpreneur could continue coining it with water tanks. Well, keep it coming. We love your contributions here on Newsroom, of course, at SABC Newsroom. That's where you can find it. Of course, the website is sabc.co.za/news. That's where all the other news is available. Of course, we've got a YouTube channel. You just type in SABC Digital News and it'll pop up and you can get everything, including the show, right there on YouTube on the channel. You can watch it at your leisure at home. That is where we wrap it today. Thank you for watching Newsroom. Of course, AM News is next with a complete update from around the world with all the headline news. This is SABC News. We love it in the morning.
Why watch the news on SABC? We bring you news in your own language. News that affect you. Sports. We have
Catherine Drew, SABC News at the High Court in London.
Shervin Bryce's SABC News.
Sarah Kimani, SABC News, Nairobi.
We touch and change people's lives. SABC News, Africa's news leader.
Therefore, if you go into a lot of the rural areas in the Kalahari Desert, you'll find these people take these instruments and they place them up in high places. So that respect alone. And if you ask them, why do you put it up there? He says, no, this is when I call down the ancestors. I can't leave it for the kids. You know, so that has got such a strong, significant meaning. And even when they play the instruments, you could see them going into a trance. You know, complete trance state, and sometimes it even makes you cry to think, how can a simple instrument like that make someone feel so deeply touched, you know, and actually connecting. So this is something that tells us that no matter who you are today, how you believe in the modern society, but you must never forget where you're coming from, you know, because there are these people still existing. Like the Kalahari Bushmen have been in existence for more than 45,000 years, and that tells us something, that they're living a true life, that they're in contact with their creator, they're in contact with their ancestors and things like that, you know. They do the trance dances, and everything is connected around musical instruments. And therefore, my job, really my mission is to protect and preserve indigenous culture.